Welcome to episode 2 of the Super Acquaintances College Baseball Podcast. One episode in the books, number 2 coming your way, covering just another crazy, ridiculous, exciting week of college baseball. We got a lot to cover before we get into the fantasy matchup for this weekend, what all of our teams did during the week. But first, everybody knows on Mondays, rankings drop. We're no different. We're going to kick things off with a discussion of all of our top 25s that you can find now on our website, on all of our socials. Okay, guys, we're all looking at these same ranking lists. What was the most ridiculous? We've got our aggregate list posted. We talked about the top 5, top 10. What stands out to you? I know one person roasted TJ on Twitter for his rankings.
No, I got applauded. Okay.
Oh yeah, sorry, that was Brennan.
He applauded me because I put USF in the top 25. So
yeah, and then
he also said I only watch USF baseball.
That's fine. I got one fan. That's better than none.
USF is
Only
doing great
fans
for me.
over here, baby.
I own USF and I love having them on my team. So
I'm sorry, not USF.
USF, South Florida.
Yeah. Ooh.
University of South Florida.
Bulls. UCF.
I've been going for 30 seconds. You've already had too much to drink.
Yeah, I threw Maryland in the top 5. Pretty bold.
Okay, hit us with that.
So, I put them in the top 5, okay? Hear me out. Now, are they deserving of the top 5 right now? My opinion, yes, because they swept Baylor at Baylor, okay?
Unranked Baylor?
Yes. Unranked Baylor, but at Baylor. They're a good baseball team. They're solid, all right? But Tennessee has played Iona, okay? Iona's like a rec team, bro.
Yeah, they're number 1 in my book.
Old Dominion threw up 24 runs against Iona and 19 against Iona, okay? So I can't give Tennessee credit for that. So I got to see them play a good team. And I saw Maryland play Baylor and sweep them at Baylor. So, and they're undefeated on the year on top of that.
So I will piggyback off that. It goes into what I'm going to say later, but Maryland did sweep Campbell, and Campbell ended up beating NC State. So I won't dog him too much for that. A little high in my taste.
Extremely high.
Extremely.
Yeah.
Well, and you guys got to look at whenever it gets into conference play, their strength of schedule isn't as harsh as these SEC teams like Tennessee.
Yeah, but that makes it less and less deserving, I feel like.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that these rankings are, I'm not putting a team in the top 5 because they're going to have a strong schedule, or I think we're trying to make an assessment based on what they've done so far. And, you're right, Maryland's beat a couple of quality teams, right? I mean, Baylor beat Duke, if I recall, and they were ranked in the top 25 at the time. So, more power to you, Suges. Top 5, maybe a little bit of a stretch, but, we can say the same thing for teams like Virginia. We had that conversation. Mm-hmm. And to your point, Traven, I when we did our last podcast, I said I had NC State, I think is my number 2 or 3. Yep. And that loss to Campbell, I've got them now number 7 or 8, I think, right here.
The columns throw it off.
But you got them at 8.
8.
We'll throw some numbers in on there. So I wasn't able to track the Tommy Tanks, this week. But maybe
got all of it.
Got all of it
for you. Hey, don't steal my thunder here. I got it all written up.
All right, hit us. So because maybe Benji was right. I mean, he was dogging on us a little bit for giving NC State, being a little bit too high.
I even moved them up on my rankings because of what you guys said.
And we did. And we'll get right into it.
Right? All right, yeah, TJ, take us off.
So, NC State goes on the road, first time on the road this year. So, I'll give them that. Maybe they had some pregame jitters, the 35-minute drive that it was. I don't know, because Campbell's not that far down the road. I know Campbell's not that far down the road.
Traffic jams, rush hour.
Yeah, who knows? In Cary, North Carolina, I'm sure there's some stuff. But 8-1 overall, NC State. We lost 4-7. Unacceptable. We had 7 hits. And yeah, Benji was right. Maybe it was all one guy. Maybe it was all the hype. Whatever.
How do you do this week?
Tommy White went 1 for 5. He went 1 for 5. On the year, though, on the year. I know it's only week 3.
Wow, he's human? He's human?
Yeah,
he's
he's
not
human.
perfect?
Yeah, exactly. And he's an 18-year-old freshman. Come on, give him some slack.
I'll give you that. But still,
Hitting .538, same stats, 21 for 39, 9 home runs.
Hey, listen, if 1 for 5 is a slump,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I would have
Totally agree with
taken that my whole life. Are you kidding me?
right? So we'll see what happens this weekend.
I'm pretty sure I went 1 for 5 my whole high school career. But some other semi-notable performances. Devontae Brown went 1 for 3 with a home run, 2 RBIs. Logan Whitaker, not really notable. He's 1-1 on the year. 1 inning pitch, 3 hits, 3 earned runs. That's just not going to win you ball games. I mean, Travis is a pitcher. He'll tell you all that.
Doesn't take a pitcher to tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not. I'll give him the first road loss. Maybe they were living up to the hype for the home crowd. Whatever. Matchup overall, like throughout history though, 32-12. I'll take that any day of the week. So, maybe it was just a bad day.
Let's reel it back a little bit before we get too much into all the teams.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. One of the big things, Eric, if you want to talk a little bit about, if anybody hasn't seen so far, Eric did a great job publishing a blog entry on Sacramento State. They cracked the D1 baseball top 25 list, and
They were top 20.
I think they read your blog.
he's got the timestamps to prove that he was on this before that came out. So full credit to Eric. What's it's funny because I can't say Sac State without thinking it's affiliated with our Sac baseball podcast. But
Maybe there should be a partnership in the works.
yeah, who lit the fire
we could
under
work
Sac
something out.
State?
Yeah, so Sac State comes out. Sacramento State, I think it was first or second game of the season, throws a 7-inning no-hitter and a doubleheader. And as we know, people tried to discount Madison Bumgarner during the season last year for doing the same thing. But to throw 7 innings, even if it was a 9-inning game, if you throw 7 innings of no-hit baseball, that's 21 straight outs. That's impressive for any feat. And then they go on the road into Long Beach State, who granted was number 6 at the time.
They're 2-7.
But you can say what you want about them now. But at the time, they were number 6. So Sacramento State, has anybody heard of Sacramento State before last weekend in baseball? No,
Nope.
No one.
When you submitted that blog entry, I was like, this is a fucking reach because I hadn't heard of them or followed them.
Yeah.
Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, so they come in facing the number 6 team in the nation, and not only win one, they swept them. They swept the number 6 team in the country in their own house. So I mean, you got to give credit there. He went in that 7-inning no-hitter, 23 batters faced, and not a single walk.
Wow.
Not a single.
So there were errors?
One hit by pitch.
Ah.
That was it. That was the only base runner they allowed. And then they went on to play. Oh, go ahead.
No, it looks like Brennan has something to say about Long Beach. I was just only going to chime in. My opinion on the 7-inning no hitter is like if the game is 7 innings, you make it 7 innings. If you don't allow a hit, it's a no hitter.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a full game.
My
Goes
only
down
opinion
in the record as a full game. So
on this Sac State sweep is it shouldn't count against a team that made Sims look great. Okay.
Best pitcher in college
Wait, who?
baseball, though, right?
who
Exactly.
Sims?
Yeah.
Oh, and I was
favorite
mistaken.
guy.
They had their base runners were not hit by pitches. It was on 2 errors, and that was it. And that was against Northern Illinois, and they outscored them 31-16 over 4 games, almost double the run output of what their pitching gave up. So,
Yeah. So
if they can keep that pitching going, that was all I was going to say.
Sweet. So just in the composite rankings we've got here, we aggregated all of our individual rankings, which takes into account people like TJ that put USF there up in the top 20. We've got some people that had Kentucky as high as
I was
what
going to
looks
ask
like
about that.
19 or
So,
something like that for Suges.
Kentucky went 7-0, and it's the first time they've done that since 2012, which I thought was pretty impressive. But they did lose this midweek game, I think.
Yeah, they lost to Western Kentucky 5-7, but they bounced back and they beat Evansville 5-4.
The old Hilltoppers, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think they're going to have a solid season, man. Kentucky's a team to watch out for. Not elite, but they're going to be up there in the top 25, top 30, I think.
Yeah, they're no Maryland.
I think we're missing the biggest bold thing about TJ's rankings.
No LSU, no Arizona in the top 25.
He's missing a Louisiana State and Arizona in the top 25. Go ahead and explain
Still
that
drinking.
one, buddy.
There's no
I
Vandy
think
either.
I think he froze out.
Oh, I just thought he was still drinking.
No, I think he froze out.
Yeah, there's no Vandy either though.
He's
either.
got some liquor in his mouth right here.
That's
as he's paused.
awesome. That's awesome that's the image that I got paused on. Anyone that's listening to the podcast, you have to go watch our YouTube video of this. Yeah, we'll let maybe he's just buying some time to answer for these horrendous picks he made. Oh,
There
he's
he
gone.
goes. There he goes.
Let's.
Your opponent has left the game.
Okay, Chowers he made it back. He was not drinking the whole time. Your image froze while you're in the middle of a sip of whiskey there. So I
Oh,
thought
no, I
were...
did continue with the drink, so yeah.
Okay. Well, okay then. So hopefully your inhibitions have come down to explain the lack of Louisiana State, Arizona, and Vanderbilt in the top 25.
The reason
Flip
I
that,
didn't
please.
have LSU in the top 25 specifically for my rivalry with the top left corner, not myself, top left corner man. I won't
It's right.
put.
It's the right. Wait,
Oh, it is
you're
right?
talking about the. Sorry,
He's talking
the
about Brennan.
Zoom recording or the spreadsheet?
No, Zoom recording.
Okay.
Top
The
left.
man with the Joe Burrow shirt?
Yeah, I won't have LSU Tiger Town in my top 25.
But I have receipts that saying you were just, a little messed up from that surgery, so you forgot about him.
All right. Well, what it sounds like is maybe I need to implement like a scoring system to like at the end of the year have a separate award for who gets the most like accurate rankings based on how teams finish. Because then we could actually use our own rankings to like allocate rankings for the fantasy points, but we can't do that if we're going to have personal vendettas. So anyway, okay, guys, anything else you want to touch base on here rankings wise before we hop into what's going to be coming up? What happened this week in college baseball and what's coming up?
Stanford at 2?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you asked that. So again, I mentioned the one game the very first week of college baseball when they got blown out by Cal State Fullerton 11-1. Since then, the pitching staff they've only given up 0 and 1 runs, except for the upset walk-off victory against UTSA. Obviously, at least you're not getting beat 7-4 by Campbell. It's still in Texas. Not a great win, not a great loss, not a win at all. But I still believe that they have one of the best 1-2-3 pitching staffs in the country. I'm actually working on a blog post about the top rotations in the country, and their top 3 are as good as anyone. Alex Williams is the opening Friday night starter. Quinn Matthews, all he did was get 10 strikeouts in 6 innings against Arkansas last weekend. And then Drew Dowd, I think, is the third one. So they have the pitching to carry them to a national title, and they've had enough offense so far. Losing against UTSA is not a good look, but I'm still really high on them. It's kind of like Vanderbilt. Like pitching can carry you, but I've seen more from Stanford's bats than I think I have from Vandy's. So that's why I got them there. Not a great loss at all. But yeah, that's the thought. Okay, guys. So for this weekend coming up in fantasy, we got 3 new matchups. The first is, I have yet to record a win despite being the league commissioner, so I'm not colluding. And I
No
am,
sketchy shit here.
No colluding yet.
Yeah. I might lock you guys out actually.
Oh, come on. Too soon.
Cancel
Too
games
soon.
here. So Benjie, I'm actually playing Benjie, and he is undefeated so far, coming into the week hot. Benjie, you want to take us through what your lineup's looking for this weekend and what your teams did during the week?
So I only got 3 big points for this prior week for the weekday games. Oklahoma State went 2-0 this week, playing Tuesday and Wednesday. The big one was yesterday. They won 11-6 versus Arizona State. Caden Trenkle balled out yesterday. He went 3 for 6 with 2 homers and 7 RBI. So he had 7 of the 11 runs scored there. Just a phenomenal effort from him. Overall, though, pitching was okay. I'm pretty sure they had 5 pitchers throughout the game. Not amazing, but they still put in the work, got the win. So, my next one is North Carolina on Tuesday, won 16-1 versus Longwood. Vance Honeycutt, which I brought up in our last podcast, I have pretty big hopes for him. He's a center fielder for them. Went 1 for 2 with a homer, 2 RBIs, and 2 walks. His plate discipline has been phenomenal this year so far. I'm pretty sure he's leading the team in walks. And then the catcher, Thomas Frick, also hit a grand slam that game as well. That game was just all full team effort. 16 runs was just easy for them. They also went 2-0 this week. North Carolina's just been putting up win after win after win, which is why they broke top 25 this week, rightfully so. And then Michigan went 1 for 1 on the week, won 20-13 versus Florida Atlantic.
Wow, what is that? Is that baseball?
Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, Florida Atlantic. They won 20-13. Ted Burton went 4 for 5 with 2 doubles and a homer and 7 RBIs. Man, it was just crazy this week. So, with my selections this week, I picked straight across the board for each conference and flex. I did the same teams. I went Notre Dame for ACC. They've been just winning for me. Every week I put them in, they win. If I don't put them in, they win. So I figured why not just keep them in for the whole weekend. Michigan, again, I mean, their bats have been doing great this year. I actually kind of have a hopeful feeling that they might rank maybe 25, 23 rank this year if they keep up what they're doing lately. Oklahoma State doesn't need an intro. They've been phenomenal this year so far. Same with Vanderbilt. I'm hoping the bats can get hotter this weekend versus Hawaii. We'll see though. Obviously, you never know. Oregon State obviously has been great, keeping those bats hot, and their pitching has been phenomenal this year. And then USF is my only American Conference team, so I have to play them, but they're still doing good. And then North Carolina is my flex, so I'm hopeful on this weekend, especially versus Travis. I mean, you've been scoring high as hell this week, or these games, versus like all our matchups and stuff, but you've just been super unlucky with who you face. So
Yeah, I appreciate that. Although I will argue that my first week was quite not so great.
it was the first day, right? I think the first day you had a rough one.
Yeah, well, it was when Stanford
Was
got
that
me.
negative
We-
220 or something?
Yeah, that was the ticket.
That one game.
Would they drop
that one
11 to
game
2?
was crazy. Yeah.
It was 11-1. Yeah.
Thank you for making me look a little better. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
you're welcome.
We try to make you
So,
look as good as possible, Suges.
speaking of
Although
Stanford,
I'm hoping I stay on top and undefeated, I do hope you get a little closer of a chance this week. So
oh, thank you. Yeah, just
What a
good sportsmanship right here.
Wow. Everybody needs a
Gentlemen.
Benjie in their life. Holy shit.
what can I say?
Brennan, I
I'm
hope all
sorry,
your
man.
teams shit the bed.
Hey, I'm a Cooper's man, right?
It won't.
So I'll burn through mine. Speaking of Stanford, as we talked about on Monday, they did drop a walk. They got walked off by the University of Texas in San Antonio. I believe they're the Roadrunners.
They are.
Yeah. In that game, the first baseman Carter Graham hit 2 dongs. The shortstop had 2 errors in the 10th inning, so that's why they lost. So again, tough loss. It happens. You're a ranked team. Can't have that, but ironically, it happens. This weekend, they're hosting CSUN the entire weekend, so hopefully, hoping for a high-scoring affair there.
They're
CSUN,
hosting who?
CSUN, CSUN. They've been around. They've been playing some of our teams like UCLA. Yeah, they actually dropped 2 or 3 to UCLA the first weekend, but they're playing hot. They swept Pacific in a 4-game series, so they're coming in hot.
That was probably a series to watch,
High-powered
I'm sure.
team.
Yes. So, as I mentioned, Stanford's pitching staff is just ridiculous. The Alex Williams, Quinn Matthews, and Drew Dowd. are coming in really, really strong. So I have high expectations for them. Florida, they had a great midweek. They got picked up 2 wins, first against North Florida on Tuesday and second against Florida A&M on Wednesday by scores of 11-2 and 17-0. They hit 8 home runs in 2 games, including 2 from Sterling Thompson, who was responsible for the 2 home runs on opening day, including the Grand Slam. They are coming into the weekend paying Miami a visit. So there's a lot of in-state rivalry matchups this weekend. This is the first of them we're going to cover. Brennan has Miami, and I think he'll touch base on whether or not he's going to play Miami. But I feel good about Florida, especially after the midweek they've had with the explosive offense. So I'm definitely using them all 3 games. Against Miami, the multiplier, they'll be very similar between wins and losses because they're 2 highly ranked teams, but they will be heavily weighted games. So I'm feeling good about them. Arkansas played 1 midweek game. They beat Omaha 15-3, which at first glance, was good for the Razorbacks. I've been saying they need to show some more offense. But at the same token, there were 5 errors by Omaha in the game, so kind of tough not to win when the opposing team commits 5 fielding errors. This weekend, they're hosting Southeastern, who just lost 1-23 against Tulane.
Yikes.
Robert Moore is the spark plug of the offense, so they really, really need to have a strong showing. I've been saying that. Need to get it turned on before conference play starts up. My alma mater, Georgia Tech, picked up the win on Tuesday against Georgia State. And who, you guys want to guess who had 2 home runs in that game?
The catcher you.
Parada.
Catcher you. Kevin Parada. 2 home runs. He's got 6 in his last 6 games.
It's the man.
I think he was the National Player of the Week this week. So the dude he's lighting it up right now. Coming into a huge matchup this weekend against Georgia. All the tickets we're seeing on Twitter, they're sold out.
Sold out.
It's going to be an electric atmosphere. They're alternating. Yeah, 1 game at Georgia.
Wish I could
1 game
be
at
there.
Georgia Tech and 1 at a neutral site. So going to be a fantastic series. Travin's got Georgia, so he'll be able to talk about
They
what's
got a
up.
neutral site game?
Yeah, there's 1 at Georgia Tech, 1 at Georgia, and 1 at a neutral site. I don't know this Friday, Saturday, which one's where, but the Sunday I'm pretty sure is the neutral site.
I like
Is
that.
there going to be a
No,
Brave
it's not
Stadium,
at. No, they used to do it at Turner Field, but I think it's at one of the training fields in the area.
That'd be sweet if it
So,
was. I feel like that'd
Yeah.
be that's
So those are my
clearly-
teams.
Those aren't being in use right now with MLB.
Yeah.
yeah. We could put them to use. Well, I mean, they could put them to use, and then
They
we'll talk
could.
about it.
So
We could probably get some SAC tournaments going on.
that would be pretty sweet. So those are my Pac-12, 2 SEC teams for SEC and Flex. Georgia Tech, my other teams, Iowa, they're going to be visiting Frisco, Texas,
Hell yeah.
where Travin, Suges, and I are actually right from around that area. Went to high
Dad's
school
going to
there.
that game, I believe, or
Yep.
that tournament.
Yeah, so that tournament has Texas A&M, Wichita State, and Washington State, as well as Iowa.
Don't get me
So
started
that's
on
their-
that team.
Their
Can
weekend
we
slate.
mention Iowa's midweek game they had this week?
I'm glad you. Well, they had 2. I don't know what. Oh, I know which one.
Against a
So-
D3 school.
Yeah, let's start with the highlight. They did beat Cornell College on Wednesday 8-0. Their pitching staff got 19 strikeouts, and they actually had a pitcher touch 101 twice. So they've got a flamethrower there in the bullpen. However, the day before, they did lose 1-3 to a D3 school. The starting pitcher, David Pasco, went 6.2 innings with 0 runs, but they did drop that one. It's not a good look. West Virginia, they beat Canisius on Tuesday, 17-3. Outfielder Victor Scott had 2 home runs and 7 RBIs. They're visiting the Cambria College Classic with Minnesota, Illinois, and Michigan State. Kansas lost to Missouri State 3-12. Gave up 7 home runs in 1 game. They're also going up to Minnesota, so they're playing a very similar slate of teams. Arizona State, Benjie already touched on. They dropped 2 to OSU. They were close to being competitive, but too many walks, too many hit by pitches to be competitive. They're hosting San Diego State for the weekend, so I'm using them. Houston, they beat Lamar. They're hosting Incarnate Word, and Pitt, finally, they did not play any weekend games. They are visiting the All-American Classic and playing Army, Ohio State, and Campbell coming off their victory off of NC State. So that's my slate of teams right there. The next fantasy matchup is Brennan, also 2-0, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah, also undefeated.
I played you and Suges, the two worst teams in the league.
The two worst
bottom
teams in the
two
league
teams.
so far. Against Eric. So Eric had some tough luck in week 1 and then picked up his victory against me last week thanks to Tennessee's ungodly run production. So, Brennan, what have your teams done this week, and what are you looking at this weekend?
So let's see. LSU played UNO down in New Orleans. They won 11-3 there. There were 16 pitchers used in that game. 10 of them were by UNO. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you said 16?
16. UNO used 10 pitchers.
Thank God there's not a commercial break between everyone.
Yeah. Their first pitcher pitched for 0.0. Yeah,
Couldn't even get an out.
it was bad. LSU had 2 errors by
Throw
the
me in there,
shortstop.
I'll probably get one before him.
They had 2 errors, one by Thompson, one by Cranford. They don't really have a lot of depth there at shortstop, so I think that's going to be a big problem once it comes to SEC play. The highlight of the week for Mississippi State was they beat Grambling 2-1. The highlight for Grambling that week was they lost to Mississippi State 2-1. Even though Jack Waller had some nasty stuff, I think we retweeted some of his strikeouts. He went 5 innings, 8 strikeouts, one earned run, still dropped that game. They're just not getting any production with those bats. Then their next game on Wednesday, they lost to Southern Miss 7-1. Tanner Hall from Southern Miss, 7-inning pitch, 13 strikeouts, 5 hits, no runs. The kid was dealing. And I also don't understand how Mississippi State gets 7 hits and 1 run. They're a disgusting team. Kentucky split their midweek games. They lost to Western Kentucky 5-7, like I said earlier. Beat Evansville 5-4. That was Kentucky's first loss of the season, so I think they're still pretty good with that. Louisville walked it off against Morehead State 7-5. Ben Metzinger walked it off with a 3-run home run, bottom 9, 2 outs.
Gotta love that.
Freaking moonshot.
You gotta love that.
Cincinnati, Ohio State. Cincinnati won 5-4. Their pinch hitter, I think it was Sheeler. He walked it off with a bomb in the 9th inning. That was his only at-bat all season.
Quit. Just quit after that.
Yeah. You got to end on a high note.
You've reached your peak.
TCU won 8-5 against UT Arlington. They were out-hit by UT Arlington somehow, but still pulled that off. Cal beat the Rising Sac State 6-2, so that was pretty cool. They only allowed a 2-run homer in the second. That was Sac State's only score. Struck them out 13 times. So let's see. This weekend, I will be playing Louisville. I got them going 3-0 this weekend against Akron. I mean, they're 1-5. I think they've scored like 15 runs all season. They're pretty awful. I got Nebraska. They're playing a doubleheader against UT Arlington. They're one of the most disappointing teams for me this season. I had them pretty highly ranked. Drafted them pretty high. They've just done nothing. They're also playing Northwestern State, the ones that went 1-2 against Oklahoma. So I'm very hesitant to play them. Yeah, you heard that right, Suges. You're Northwestern State. I got TCU over Kentucky. I think they're both 2 very hot teams, but I don't think Kentucky's been tested enough just yet. So I think TCU's got the series. I'm playing Cal over Florida State. I don't really have an excuse why. I think that's my only Pac-12 team.
Well, you don't have to play teams.
No, well, I will say
I'm
this.
gonna play them. I want them to win.
Just for a little bit of, again, just a quick insight into the fantasy league, right? Cal's unranked and Florida State's at 10. So essentially, if you play a team like California, if they win, the run differential they record will be multiplied by 20 versus if they lose, it'll only be multiplied by 4. So when you play a team like that, you're hoping that if they lose, right, they're not going to get blown out, or they win. And even if they win by a very small margin, you'll be rewarded for picking that underdog seed. So continue on, Brennan.
Yeah, I'm pretty much hoping for them to just beat FSU one out of those 3 games because FSU always seems to drop at least one game. let's see. I got Cincinnati over Northwestern. NU's just really bad. I mean, they're both bad. Cincinnati's 3-3. Hopefully that walk-off pushes them with a little bit of momentum into this weekend. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play LSU over OU. Just because I don't think OU is a very good team.
What?
Literally at all.
No way!
As you quoted last week, Suges, they're just not elite yet.
Yeah.
No, you guys, I'm sending internally our little video of Suges' bold prediction for OU. He did go in order of saying OU is going to go 2-1, and again, this is going to be on our social channels. He then proceeded to say OU was, maybe a top 25 team. Then said they were not elite, and then said they were mediocre. So
he doesn't even know.
Yeah.
No. So
let's
this is their chance to prove me wrong.
So
If they beat LSU and Tennessee, they're elite.
Yeah. So let's, Brent, if you want to, I know you said you were going to do a little bit on the Shriners Classic, and then we can hop over to Eric here so we can burn through, the teams we got left here.
All right, yeah, cool. I'll touch on that. So I have LSU going 3-0. There's no bias whatsoever at all. I definitely think they're going to handle OU that first day, and then I think Texas. I think the only thing that's going to hurt them is the bats. I think they kind of really suck at hitting, and LSU is very good at hitting. It's just a battle of the powers. For those guys, obviously they're going to handle Baylor on Sunday. They're not a great team. I have Texas going 2-1. I think I have them dropping to
LSU, it seems like.
Yeah, have them dropping to LSU. I got Tennessee going 2-1.
Good math.
They're only dropping to Tennessee. I think Tennessee just puts up so many runs. I have Tennessee
Against Iona.
and against Texas. Or no.
We'll get into that.
UCLA and Baylor. Let's see. I got Oklahoma going 0-3. They're not beating LSU. They're not beating UCLA. UCLA's 1-2 has been dominating, and they're going to be facing them on Saturday. There's just nothing you can do about that, Suges. I'm sorry. And then
let's let him talk about that. But yeah, Thatcher Ward. Woof.
Yeah, and just to add insult to injury, they're just going to get demolished by Tennessee on Sunday.
I can't wait
They're
for
going
Sunday
to get
come around.
absolutely demolished.
Oh.
The Shriners Classics is one of the highlights, but this is going to be an awesome weekend for college baseball.
It's going to be an insane weekend.
Absolutely.
I can't wait for Monday's podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, Eric. Let's Eric, hit us with what you got.
So some of the notable games I had from this week were Arizona. You would think Arizona being in most of our top 25s, some of our top 10s, playing Dixie State.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. They won.
Good. Glad we cleared that
team
up.
play.
they
Let 'em
they
play.
won 2-1 in what was it, 10 innings? So they had to go play some extra baseball to win 2-1 against Dixie State.
Can't complain
But
about extra baseball, though.
Not for lack of pitching. They had 17 strikeouts through that entire game. So the bats just weren't there for Arizona. Purdue off to a 9-0 start right now. Went and beat Charlotte 6-2 in only 9 innings. They didn't have to play any extra baseball there. Kind of just production up and down the lineup. No one really stands out on that one. Washington State 9-8 against Tarleton. Tarleton's like just your average. Like, we're a college that has a baseball team, so not a very impressive win there. And then the team that I think is going to upset Brennan the most this weekend goes down to Houston and plays Rice. And Baylor goes and beats them 9-0 in Houston. And the most impressive part of that is they only got 7 strikeouts, and they only allowed 2 hits. And most of that being off the back of who I think might be one of the best fielding players in the league or in college right now. Where's it at? Jack Pineda, their shortstop. I don't know if anyone's seen any of his web gems on Twitter, but he's throwing guys out at first from deep in the hole in between short and third. And that's not to overshadow also his performance at the plate, getting 3 hits and scoring 2 of those runs for Baylor. I think he could very easily be in contention for a Golden Spikes Award come the end of the season if he keeps it up. And then my last notable game for the midweek matchups was Virginia going into William and Mary and just kind of just beating up on some what is it, Catholic school, I think.
William and Mary, classic Catholic names.
Yeah, exactly. The bat stayed hot. Pitching was
It's got to be
like
religionism right there.
They put up 12 runs, getting 12 hits and 7 walks, almost walking as many times as they hit. And once again, Jack Geloff he's just destroying the ball so far this season.
Jack who?
It's Jack Geloff.
Okay.
Not to be confused with Jack Mehoff. He gets 3 hits. Drives in 4 runs. Devin Ortiz gets his 3rd win of the season in 5 2/3 innings of work, getting 9 strikeouts. They only allowed 2 free passes to first, 2 walks, didn't hit a single batter. I'm trying to recap here, Suges. But yeah, that's most of the notable games that I had going on this week. And I let me pick up who I'm playing here against good old Brennan this week. So I got Virginia coming into the weekend against Penn State. If they come out anything less than 3-0, they're dropping out of my top 5.
They have got problems.
Lose them real quick, huh?
Yeah. With the last pick in Suges' draft.
Shower school.
We've got in the Big Ten. I've got Purdue coming into good old Longwood, as who was it, Travis or Benjie was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Not me.
No, that was me. That was me. Yeah. North Carolina beat them 16-1.
Yeah, if Purdue doesn't hang at least 30 runs throughout the weekend on Longwood over 3 games,
Dude, you guys.
What are you gonna do?
Off in Longwood.
We need some sort of content
I
here.
can't with Eric.
So, and then in the Big 12, we got Baylor on Friday playing LSU. And then Kansas State playing Loyola Marymount. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not really sure why Kansas State's on my team. I don't even know why they still play. They've only won 1 game, and it was against Bakersfield. They get clobbered by good college teams, and then they struggle heavily against just regular mediocre teams. Probably
It's like
never going to watch it.
According to Suges.
Yeah, we're not getting any
regular
K-State
mediocre.
fans out of this, huh?
Yeah. I'm going to be honest.
Not after that.
Probably
bowl
not
game.
going to watch a single inning of K-State baseball this weekend. There's too many other games going
It's
on.
like watching Kansas football, man.
So we're not getting any K-State likes on the tweets.
It's like watching K-State football.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then I'm going high risk, high reward here because I think they can pull it off. For my Sunday Big 12 matchup, I'm going Baylor versus LSU. Because I think if Baylor can pull it together on a Sunday and play to the caliber that they have shown flashes of, I think they can pull out a win against LSU.
What have they shown flashes of getting swept by Maryland?
Besides Maryland, they've been on par. They've been pretty good.
Other than Maryland, they've shown great pitching, the ability to hit in clutch
Maryland's
moments.
a great team.
No, that's
And Maryland's in Suges' top 5.
I own them. It's fine. I'm just saying.
6-1 games by Baylor. I mean, that's definitely enough.
Hey, I apologize, Brennan, if I just was spaced out, but you guys, I think the matchup that's going to be the biggest towards either of your successes or failures is going to be the Mississippi State Tulane series. Like, some of us have Tulane ranked, and I'm sorry if I'm not putting enough accent on the Tulane.
I want to say I have them at 25.
But they're coming in against Mississippi State, a team that Brennan has documented like extensively is
his favorite team.
Struggling.
Sims
Yeah,
is his
very favorite
pitcher,
team.
And
Favorite
I
team,
have
favorite
Tulane.
pitcher. And so Eric, I mean, you've got Tulane slotted in your AAC slot.
All 3
They've
days.
they've been playing well. I mean, I want to get some outside opinions here. Like, Brennan's using it at Mississippi State. They're still highly ranked. That's a high point generator if they can win. If they can win by a lot of runs. Who's okay? Let's say out of 6. I think Tulane can win that series. Can they sweep? I don't know.
I think Tulane should get the brooms ready.
I think it's going to come down to Sunday. I think it's going to come down to Sunday.
You think it's going 1-1 series
I think
clincher
they're
on
going to
Sunday?
split it Friday, Saturday, and then
3-0,
Sunday is
baby.
going to be a fucking dogfight.
3-0, baby.
Yeah, I mean they're coming off that huge win against Southeastern this week. Obviously. I mean that's a big
Sounds
win
like
for
sarcasm, huh?
them. So I mean Southeastern.
Tulane put up
wait,
23 runs in their week.
Southeastern made the postseason last year.
How did
Southeastern's
Mississippi State do week 2?
I'm getting into that, man.
Hey,
sorry.
Brennan.
Okay.
Before we
I
get too
just
far, I
apologize.
want to finish my fantasy lineup
so
for the
I
for the week.
apologize.
I think it's gonna be a good week for you, Eric.
So
I think it's gonna be a bad
rolling
week.
into the SEC, I've got Tennessee versus Texas. I think Tennessee's going to pull it out because their bats are better than Texas, and I think they can match them or closely. match
They
them
have
in
not
pitching.
seen Texas caliber pitching though.
Yeah.
I will say
Yep,
that.
I will get into that. But
Yes, I agree. But those big wins against schools, just once you get hits, the hits just keep coming. It just builds that momentum, builds the confidence in the hitters.
I
think they're going into this game pretty
They
confident.
face 13-year-olds from Iona University. That's
If I hit
who
a
they're
home
playing.
run off a 10-year-old, I'm still hyped and think I can hit a home run off of Araldis before I strike out.
Hitting is contagious, but someone has to get the first hit against
Yeah.
Texas. And
Exactly.
so no, I'm
Clip
not
that.
saying that
Moms,
Tennessee
clip
is
that.
is not going to win, right? I'm just saying they haven't seen Texas caliber pitching. Now
Haven't seen
let's
OU
let
pitching either.
okay,
Oh,
let's let Eric finish here.
All right, then we got Tennessee versus Baylor on Wednesday or Saturday, and that's actually the only reason Kansas State's playing in my game this week. Then we got Tennessee versus Oklahoma. I'm sorry, Suges. The Sooners are terrible. And then going down to the Pac-12, we got Arizona all weekend against Texas State. Fully expect another sweep there. Get the brooms out for Arizona. And then down in the American Conference, we got Tulane playing Mississippi State. Should also be at least a 2-1 series. If Mississippi State loses 2 games, they're out of the top 50 regardless. Doesn't matter. And then in the flex, we got Clemson playing South Carolina on Friday, Saturday. And then Washington State against the oh-so-powerful Wichita State on Saturday. And that's the team that's going to propel me to 2-1 and give Brennan his first loss.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like I said, I think it's going to be a great week for Tulane.
My prediction is Mississippi State bounces back, gets all 3 dubs.
Well, so and again, let's move on to the next fantasy matchup. But I think that's going to be one of the least hyped series of this weekend, amid all like the Shriner Classic, like Georgia Tech, Florida Miami. But honestly, right, like Mississippi State is coming in. They've had a really rough start to the season, horrible midweek. Tulane is really trying to crack the top 25. So these are 2 teams that really have something to prove. I think it makes for some really, really, really good baseball. The last matchup here in our fantasy league, 2 age-old rivals. TJ coming in, fresh off his first defeat. And Suge is still looking for his first victory. So, Jars, we talked a little bit about NC State already. What the rest of your lineup do this week, and what are they looking like coming into this weekend?
Yeah, we touched on NC State pretty heavily at the top, but going off, obviously I got NC State over Northeastern. All 3 games, I believe. I'm not going to click through, but all 3 games, just no problem. Rutgers facing off against William and Mary, the I guess Catholic school.
Nope,
as
it
Eric likes
is
to
a
call
public institution.
Public institution. I apologize, William and Mary. That is on
Founded by
Eric,
Bill
not me.
Bill and Mary.
Yeah. I got them sweeping the whole thing. Rutgers, they played St. Joseph's, which not going to comment on what kind of college they are, because probably a Christian. But smoked them pretty heavily, 5-2. We had a trio go for three home runs and 5 RBIs, so not really worried about that. Tennessee and Texas. I'm picking Texas the whole weekend. I think that whole matchup is going to be... I think that's... mark my words, it might be the matchup of the season. As far as these two teams are playing. Texas is coming off a 10-2 win from Sam Houston State, and I don't think they can be stopped. Their pitching is just too top tier, and I don't think Tennessee has faced that kind of pitching yet. So I think Tennessee is going to be shocked once they see that sort of stuff come across the plate. Oregon.
So I'll add in, if you don't mind, chime in a little bit. Texas is Tennessee's playing Texas on Friday, and that's Pete Hanson. I don't know, if you guys, listeners, viewers, or whatever.
Oh yeah, that pitcher.
Texas's top 2 pitchers, Pete Hanson and Tristan Stevens, they've struck out 23 batters in 23 innings. They have not allowed a run yet in the season, so they're 1-2.
Is that combined or individually?
That's
Combined.
That's pretty good.
Not to be undershadowed by Andre Duplanter II, who's a redshirt freshman. On the year, he has a .82 ERA, 11 innings pitched, 2 hits, and 1 earned run. So I think that their whole staff is just gonna wipe Tennessee off the board. Oregon against UC Santa Barbara, that's a no-brainer. A&M versus Washington State. I believe all 3 games I have them. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Except for yeah, it's not a good one. Yeah. A&M's just gonna win that. There's not a whole lot of multipliers on these games for me.
Who's A&M playing?
A&M's playing Washington State.
Okay.
They're in the tournament with Iowa, Washington State, and Wichita State.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here in Frisco.
And unfortunately, my AAC pick is the just abysmal program that is Wichita State. Granted, they haven't played a home game yet, so I'll give them that. And they're not about to play any more home games in Frisco, Texas. So, I mean, they lost to Oral Roberts 11-6. They gave up 17 hits. You're just
Oral
not
Roberts
winning.
is no sham.
Yeah, you're not winning baseball games giving up 17 hits. I'm sorry.
Oral Roberts kicked me off their campus. I hope they lose every game.
Would love to hear about that.
Let's get the story next
would love
episode.
to
Tune
hear
in
that
next
offline.
week to hear the story of how Eric got kicked off Oral Roberts campus.
Then I got Wake Forest over Howell. I'm sorry, that is UMass Lowell, not Howell. My Sunday matchup, I didn't even bother to play an AAC team because they're playing A&M. I own both teams, so I don't feel like that's...
Got you.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's going to be a win. But Sunday, I did reluctantly, against everything that I wanted to be. In the SEC, I put Georgia over Georgia Tech. And I don't want that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody.
Georgia is
Yeah.
still undefeated, right? They're undefeated on the year, right?
Georgia is 8-0, yes.
Yeah.
But
Against Akron, against who
Yes.
they played.
Yeah.
Hey,
no,
Georgia Tech. This is a
Akron,
good
Wofford,
test.
College, everything.
Here,
I
Georgia
want,
Tech. Yeah, never mind. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I want Georgia Tech to win that series. I want them to sweep Georgia off their feet because piss on them dogs. We all know this. I picked them reluctantly against my own will just to say that I could fucking go against Travis at something else. He beats me at nearly goddamn everything. Rocket League, MLB, you name it. He's probably going to fucking beat me at this. So I'm hoping to be absolutely befuddled on Sunday when Georgia beats Georgia Tech.
I think Sunday is the only chance Georgia has to beat Georgia Tech because the Georgia Tech's top 2 starters have been pretty good, especially their Friday starter, Chance Huff. I will say, though, I don't think Oregon sweeping UCSB is a lock. I think UC Santa Barbara will take at least 1 game, if not 2, from Oregon. Yeah. Any other teams you wanted to highlight?
And in fact, I even said that on my Saturday matchup. Sorry, I picked USC over. God knows what that logo is.
I don't know what that logo is.
Yeah. USC's logo just looks better, so we're going USC.
It's a Wagner College.
It's all about the
so
flashiness, right,
that
TJ?
should be a for sure win. But
Wow.
We all know what Wagner loves.
All right. So
we
just
in the MC
how do you plan to defend against TJ's onslaught right there?
Well, can I go through my midweeks?
Yeah. Yes, please do.
That's the whole point.
That's
Okay.
what we're saying. For each of the teams you picked, what do they do during the week, and what's coming up for the weekend?
So Ole Miss has won their 5th victory by mercy rule of the year, and they played 8 games. So they're
That's
just
actually
pissing
pretty
on
crazy.
teams. Now they aren't playing great competition, granted, but they've mercy ruled 5.
Can
in
I
5 games.
ask what
So-
a mercy rule is in college? Because they didn't seem to use that.
When they got to catch a plane to New York.
Yeah, didn't seem to use that. Iona, Tennessee, the first 2 games.
When they say my ERAs are getting too high, stop the game, please.
Jeez.
That's actually a great point because I've seen 10 after. I think it has to be agreed upon
beforehand,
Yeah.
like at the
beforehand.
umpire or the coach
Yeah.
meeting at the beginning. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've scored 7 straight games of 10 or more runs. So I feel like that's pretty impressive. And they're playing UCF this weekend. So I feel like they should definitely take care of business against them. Another highlight that I have as far as my team this week was actually ECU bouncing back and beating Duke. Granted, Duke is 4-4 on the year. But I'm just proud that ECU could get a win. They literally throttled them 12-2.
It's the mustaches.
About time.
It is.
It is the
It's
mustache.
Mustache
Mustache
March.
March, baby. It is.
If I could grow one, it would be.
Yeah,
Well, Pete's
same.
is
But I
working
can't.
there. So, yeah, ECU, they scored 12 runs, 13 hits, and they only gave up 2 runs on 2 hits. It was actually Duke. They put in a pinch hitter in the 5th inning, and the first pitch he saw, he went yard.
I saw
And so that was
Watched
the
it live. It
only
was
2
insane.
runs that Duke scored. So other than that, they took care of business. But ECU is going to get tested this week. I believe they play Maryland. So that should be a pretty interesting matchup to see.
Top 5 team according to Suges.
It is. So I'm hoping for ECU to bounce back. I mean, I wasn't really surprised Duke got throttled, though, because they lost to VMI early in the year. So Virginia Military Institute, if nobody caught that.
Didn't. Thanks.
A low light I got is Florida State. These guys just look hungover on Tuesdays. They've lost
Probably
back-to-back
were.
Tuesdays. I don't think they care to play on Tuesdays, but I don't know if they realize that affects their schedule. So they're
I don't know if you guys don't know this, but ACC schools, all the best parties happen on Mondays.
Especially Georgia Tech, for sure.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on with the Florida State baseball team on Tuesdays. So they lost to Jacksonville U last Tuesday, 2-3, and then this Tuesday they lost 5-6 to Mercer. Granted, Mercer's only lost 1 game this year, so I mean, but it is Mercer. So the reason why I feel like they lost to Mercer though is they threw 9 walks. So when you throw more than 5 base on balls, it's not going to look good for that game. But matchups this week that I'm looking forward to is definitely my Oklahoma Sooners. I do have them beating LSU, and I have them beating Tennessee. Those are my 2 bold predictions. I have them losing to UCLA. I think UCLA is just going to be on a hot streak.
Hold on.
You know, bold and stupid are not synonymous. Right?
Hold on.
You chose the worst of the three for them to lose to.
Well, you guys got to understand. So my team, I have UCLA. So if I put OU and UCLA against each other, it's going to be a wash. So I put UCLA in that spot, and I put Texas Tech in the Big 12
what happened.
spot.
Again, I told our listeners and viewers I was just about to release a video. You claimed last week, you predicted that OU is going to go 2-1 with victories against LSU and UCLA.
Well, now I think that Tennessee is a pretender.
Oh.
Okay, well, I'm glad I hadn't released the video until now because I can add this in. Okay,
Wow.
So because I looked over Tennessee's schedule and who they've played and just killing on a rec team that Old Dominion beat up on too, I just feel like OU plays better against SEC than they do Pac-12.
It's because they want to be SEC.
Yeah, and they're going to be.
Well,
in the
they're going to
SEC
be,
too.
right?
Yeah. So that is my bold prediction of the weekend. We'll see on Monday's podcast what the outcome is.
Okay,
But,
glad we held on to that one. Great.
And
okay,
I do want to shout out Texas Tech for a minute too. They beat DBU, Dallas Baptist, 4-3. So I'm proud they could get another dub and continue, winning in the future. So hopefully I don't trade into Eric anytime soon. We'll see.
Give me Texas Tech.
Yeah, just to quickly, the only other teams that, again, our fantasy league is Power 5 teams. So teams that are not in the Power 5 that have been continuing to make moves. Liberty has kept on winning. They won a Tuesday matchup against Radford 11-3, so they're still putting up a lot of runs. Long Beach State took it to UCLA. Actually, they lost to UCLA 3-0. So they're continuing their free fall since they, took their series against Mississippi State that we've talked about their struggles. Okay, any final thoughts, guys?
Nah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
This weekend is going to be nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going to release a blog. I think today it's going to go up. Tonight it's going to go up about the Shriners Classics and my predictions. Like I said, there's no bias for LSU. There's nothing in there.
I can't imagine
about
there is,
LSU. Yeah, it'll be up tonight.
Yeah, there are some Shriners Classic as some of the premier teams in the country. There's marquee in-state rivalry games with Florida, Miami, Georgia Tech. Great stuff, and we're only in weekend 3 of college baseball, so it's only going to get better from here. If you're just joining us because you're engaging on our Twitter or Instagram or TikTok, welcome. We have a backlogged catalog. You can get a little introduction on who we are and the teams we're reporting on. So happy that college baseball is taking more of a front seat. With the recent MLB lockout, we don't know how long that'll last, but as long as it does, and even after it's resolved, hope you come hang out with us and talk about what's going on in college baseball. So. Thanks again for tuning in. Our next episode will drop on Monday to recap the packed weekend slate action, as well as talk about how our fantasy matchups turned out. See if me or Suges can get our first wins, or Benjie or Brennan can stay undefeated. We'll see you guys Monday. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.